the best at it.
Right.
When you have him in that zone, it's just getting him out of the zone.
Yeah, he just needs something to focus in on.
Yeah, he just needs something to focus in on. So the union rep, Frank Sobotka, and the commissioner, Stan Valchek, they're having a dispute over a stainless glass piece of the church.
Yeah.
Me personally, I feel like they were both being childish about that. How do you feel about that whole stainless glass?
I think at the end of the day, that was all a power play.
It was a power play.
So who had the most power?
Okay. Because they were also giving the church like
donating money. Yeah. So they were donating money to the church.
Right.
And their donations determined where that stained glass window went, if I remember correctly.
That shows the church in a different light, because it's like now they playing politics.
Exactly.
Because these two dudes playing politics and doing their little dance, but you taking money from them and letting them position stained glass in the church
for the most money. Whoever paid the most
money,
gets the best spot.
Yeah, it was like, oh, the church is kind of in on this too.
That's like going to the club. You pay the most money for the best VIP
That's
section.
true. Yeah, the sections. Yep, that's true. That's true. Because Sobotka's longshoreman crew gets to keep their stained glass in the church in that position, which is in the middle of the church, the bottom floor. Valchek starts harassing the longshoremen. He knows they all go drinking. So at one point in time, he had a DUI.
A DUI check at 7:00 in the morning.
Oh my God. That's petty, bro.
Yeah.
That's petty. That's
power.
Petty.
It's all about the power.
It's power. Now, I kind of feel like, I don't know if you feel this way, I kind of feel like Frank was over his head and he didn't know he was over his head. With Valchek got power.
Right. But
Frank didn't know that.
I kind of feel like Frank didn't expect Valchek to take it that far.
Okay. He didn't think he would be that petty.
Right. Because I can't remember what episode it is. One of them episodes they were talking about how Valchek used to get punked by like Frank's brother or somebody back in the day. They just saw him as a little punk little kid. Yeah. So Frank didn't expect him to go to those extremes.
Yeah. Frank knew some history on Valchek.
Right.
And he checked him on that history too. And Valchek never fought back on what he checked him on. So that let you know it was real.
Exactly.
Everything he said was actually happened. Along that time, 13 dead women were found in the container. The Greek and Spiros was kind of mad. They were mad about it because they didn't know what had happened or whatever, but they knew it would mess up business. So at that time, they were trying to figure out who did it. The case was given to Bunk and Freeman. The weird thing about that is like, it's a homicide. So it shows up. I didn't know until I started watching The Wire that they're really trying to clear cases, but at the same time, they're trying to push cases on other departments.
Because they don't want that negative clearance rate.
Yeah. And I didn't know that type of stuff was going on in the police department. Like, you take the body. And they like, no, you take the body.
Right. With those 13 bodies in the water like that on the dock, they're like, we don't know what happened. We don't know where these came from.
Yeah.
So they're not expecting to find out who did that.
Right.
So they don't want to get stuck with 13 bodies with nobody to pin them on.
Yeah.
So that's why everybody is trying to push it off on a different department.
And what's weird is that Rawls was tripping off of the percentage.
Right.
Like, we take those bodies, going to be at
always talking
30%.
He's always talking about the clearance rate.
Yeah. He was like, we were at 51. You're going to put us at like 30.
Exactly.
I'm not taking the bodies. Like, and I didn't know it was that serious until I started watching The Wire. Like, oh, they be tripping off them numbers.
Yeah.
It's the numbers. So that lets me know that the numbers go parallel to their salaries and their position.
That's the whole politics part of it too, because that's with the unsolved cases and the murder rate and all of that comes into play with that too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Then we get to Avon Barksdale. So Avon cooperated to turn on one of his suppliers to get his sentence reduced, right? And nowadays we call that snitching. Basically, Avon snitched. Avon snitched on one of the dudes he was working with. What happened was the guy who was actually supplying him that he was waiting for a package from reneged because they found out that's what he was doing to somebody else. The New York Connect didn't send him the package that he was waiting for. So essentially what happened was the West Side drugs dried up. The East Side still had the Greeks because the Greeks was dealing with Prop Joe.
Right.
West Side didn't have nothing. Right. But the West Side didn't have nothing, like I said, because Avon was tied up in some cooperation stuff to get his sentence reduced, and they didn't know where they were part of it, where he was snitching on them. It was just this whole mystery. So they kind of left him alone. Which put the West Side in a bad position because now all their smokers was going to the east side to get high.
Yeah.
That always creates a different type of a dynamic because now they're losing power, they're losing the grip. They trying to hold on to the towers.
Yeah.
It's like 6 towers. So that becomes something.
But then also, Avon connected Stringer with somebody in Atlanta.
Correct.
But the product that they was getting from Atlanta was trash.
It was trash. It was trash product. Correct.
Yeah. So that's why they ended up having to go to Prop Joe on the east side.
So Prop Joe. Because Prop Joe got the good stuff.
Right.
Prop Joe, I want to say he said his was like 85, 90% pure.
Yeah.
So you could step on it 1,000 times. Right. It's still going to be good. Episode 2 now. Collateral damage. So McNulty, he takes the 13 dead girls case and he turns it into a personal thing that he wants to do to get back at Rawls.
And not only to get back at Rawls, it was also he figured out that dead body that they found was tied to those bodies that were found in the cans.
Right.
And he wanted to try to put a name on the body that he found when he was on the boat.
Doing good detective.
Right. So that was the personal part of it that he took, was trying to give her a name to figure out who she was.
Yeah. Cause now that's 14.
Right. 14
total dead girls, 1 in the water, 13 in the can. And they were still trying to figure out who smashed the pipe, the air pipe.
Right.
But essentially killed the girls. We go from that to Ziggy, introducing Ziggy, y'all. Frank Sobotka's, I'm going to just go ahead and say, idiot son.
Right.
The first time we see Ziggy, he's trying to do a deal with White Mike. White Mike, for everybody that doesn't know, is like, we're going to get into this race thing. White Mike is like the hood OG that got all the dope.
Right.
Right. But what's weird about White Mike's crew is that all the dudes selling dope is white. Mm-hmm. And they're, for all intents and purposes, they're acting black. And that comes up in the season like, y'all wearing FUBU and Nietzsche and all this other stuff and super baggy clothes and y'all calling each other the N-word.
Yeah.
You literally, white dudes call each other the N-word, which was kind of weird to me, but I'm like, it showed me how much black culture has affected other races.
Right.
And I'm glad they showed it in this season. Like, this is what black culture can do with other races. It actually makes them feel like they're black.
Right.
And they don't even know that. You couldn't explain to these dudes that they're not black. They feel like they're black because they listen to Jay-Z or whoever they listen to, Lil Wayne and stuff. And it was kind of weird. It was weird watching it, but as I started to process it, I started to understand it. As I got older, I started seeing that more too in reality. Latinos and Asian kids calling each other N-word. Right. And it always bugged me a little bit, but not to the point where I, flash on nobody.